The views and opinions expressed by the guest author or speaker during this live session are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of Reader's Magnet. The content shared is for informational purposes only and does not constitute endorsement or promotion of any particular belief, ideology, or product.
Hello, authors, book lovers, and storytellers. Welcome to the RM Hive. You are tuning into Reader's Magnet's featured author interview. I'm Brittany, and today I am excited to be speaking with Robert D Grappel, author of Tohu va-Bohu, his fourth book of original poems that takes readers on an incredible journey from physics to philosophy, from baking recipes to the mysteries of the universe. So, Robert, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Brittany. Thank you to Reader's Magnet for this opportunity.
So, before we dive into the interview, Robert, could you tell our audience, the people watching right now, a little about yourself and what Tohu va-Bohu means?
Well, I guess I have degrees in computer science and physics. I'm
Wow.
a semi-professional musician and
Mhm.
interested in a whole lot of areas. As I told Brittany off camera, I was
Yeah.
actually one of the bidders on the IBM PC contract, knew Bill Gates when he was poor. But anyway, Tohu va-Bohu, the words it's Hebrew. It comes from the book of Genesis and what things were like just before the creation of light. And
Mhm.
so we have this. It means literally empty and without uh, a center, without a shape. And it's sort of what I think about when I sit in front of the computer as I'm doing now and wondering, what in the world am I going to talk about? What am I going to be thinking about? And then all of a sudden you get an inspiration, and out of nothingness, apparently, all sorts of things
Mhm.
spring. And so that's sort of what the cover is about. And that's, you know, I view my whole, writing career as, well, capture these inspirations before they get away.
So, like a light bulb, like you had those light bulb moments, right?
Yeah, it's
It,
literally like that. In fact, I had one just this morning. I
wow.
was looking at some things I'd written and said, "Gee, I
Mhm.
haven't talked about this particular thing the way I'd like to." Well, watch for book 5.
Wow. So we're here right now for book four, and you're already on to book five. So, Robert, what inspired you to write and publish this book, by the way, this series?
Well, basically, I started writing poetry. A little digress. I got I when I was an undergraduate, a science nerd, they insisted that we all have to take at least one college level course in English,
Oh,
and
all
I
right.
was absolutely dead set. I was not going to waste a semester in freshman English. So
Yeah.
the university allowed you to take any course that the professor would allow you to sit in. So I took a graduate level course in poetry writing as a freshman. And my
Wow.
professor was Donald Hall, who later became the
Hmm.
poet laureate of the United States. And so when you guys go to the bookstore, and usually poetry is shelved alphabetically by author, well, Grappel and Hall are right next to each other. I hope he realizes that when he gave me that gentleman's B in his course, what he started.
It's a what? A gentleman's bee?
A,
Did I hear that right?
gentleman's B. I mean, I worked harder at that than I worked at any of my physics or math courses,
All right.
and I got a B in that course, and
Oh.
and I'm thinking that, oh, if he only knew.
All right. So the title poem reflects your feelings about the act of creation itself. How would you, Robert, describe the role of creativity in your life and, of course, the writing process of this book series?
Well, I try to create in a number of ways, from
Hmm.
computer programs to mathematical theorems. I think I mentioned I'm a musician, so there's creation in music. Uh,
Yeah.
and I said, I got into poetry writing out of the music. I was, growing up in the '60s, so anyone with any degree of musical talent thought they were a folk singer, and you don't want to hear any of my folk songs, trust me. But
Why?
that's another book. We'll talk about
All
that
right.
later.
All
But
right. All right.
anyhow, so inspirations come to me. I have I like to see connections uh, where where mathematics, let's say, crosses over to as you mentioned, cooking recipes. My wife
Yeah.
is
Like.
my wife is a professional pastry chef.
Yeah.
Fortunately, you can't
Wow.
see me from the waist down, but my husband ate my homework, that kind of thing. But I said one poem was, what would happen if you tried to program a computer to bake a cake?
Yeah.
And
Like.
it's something that sounds so obvious, yet it isn't.
Yeah.
And so those are the odd connections that my mind makes, and I'm hoping that
Mhm.
my readers may find some interesting connections in the book or in their own lives.
Yeah. I find it amazing that you're able to do that. Your poems, they span a wide range of topics, Robert. So from science and philosophy to everyday life, and as you've mentioned, baking recipes. So what draws you to explore so many different subjects through poetry?
Well, interesting things pop up. Like in
Hmm.
this book, there's a poem about the invention of super glue,
Super
and
good.
uh, that was actually not invented at all to be a glue. It was invented to be a gun sight.
Wait,
Why?
really?
Where did that come from? In an earlier book, I did a poem on the invention of WD-40, which we all know from is a
WD
lubricant,
40.
but it was
I think it's
originally
for the
invented.
it's for cars.
Yeah, it was originally invented though for the Cold War as a way to keep intercontinental ballistic missiles from rusting in their silos, and it stands for
Oh,
water dispersant number 40 because the first 39 formulas didn't work. And uh, so
all right.
that came to me. I was on. My wife and I were on a tour of the Northwest, and
Mm-hmm.
our tour guide mentioned that, and I thought, wow, that's cool. And fortunately, with the internet these days, you can research almost anything. And
Yeah.
so that's how my mind works. I see these odd connections where things in one field cross over into another field, and it interests me, and I hope it interests my readers.
Yeah. So you've mentioned the invention of super glue to the mysteries of the universe. Your work invites readers to see wonder in unexpected places, Robert. So what do you hope readers would take away from your book?
Well, I think they can share in the we live in a
Mm,
wonderful world. We live in a place where
indeed.
there are, from the mundane to the magnificent, there's always
Indeed.
something new to learn. And I think that's one of the things that has kept me more or less young through my 76 years is I'm always learning. I feel as if,
Yes,
my
we all
standing
are.
joke with my wife is, I learned something new today. I can go back to bed now.
All right. So I have a few follow-up questions, Robert. I believe many people have already read your book because it's a book series, right? So
Yes.
what's the most surprising reaction you've gotten from one of your poems?
Well, I guess some of my illustrators have
Yeah.
given me things like, well, how did they get this out of that poem? Like, for
Yeah.
instance, I had an interaction with one of my illustrators for book 5 today,
All
and
right.
I wrote a poem that I thought was just basic physics, and she made it almost mystical.
Wow.
That's what I loved is that people who see beyond just what it says and
Yeah, yeah.
how does this have meaning in your particular circumstance? And gee, that's an inspiration for the next one.
You've mentioned, Robert, that your artist friends created the illustrations of your
Yeah, I
book.
have a number of friends who maybe half the poems are illustrated in some form.
So, yeah, I want to ask, how important is it to you? How important is the visual element for your book series?
Well, I mean, okay, a poem
Yeah.
is deals in images. We
Mm-hmm.
try to, you know, if I wrote down a physics equation,
Mm-hmm.
boring, even to me. But
Yeah.
but also if you see, the shapes, there is a
Yeah.
poem in this book that's based on a physics equation, but it's the shape of the equation, the idea that out of these few seemingly arbitrary symbols,
Mm-hmm.
an entire way of looking at the world grew. You know, there are some things that I can say in words or in images, but other people can see it visually. It's just like, when I do music, some people, you know, hear it in their heads, and other
Yeah.
people want it on paper. We all are different, and I try to be as inclusive in the way I express things, and the way I have other people who read my stuff and say, "Oh, that's what he's talking about."
I love that. I love that.
I mean, like
So,
for
yeah.
instance, the cover of the book that you see,
Yeah,
that's
right on the screen.
that's a lady from New Zealand who normally does calligraphy, but
Oh, see.
there's this idea of, she read the title poem and said, well, and to me, it captures everything. It's a biblical kind of thing, but
Mm-hmm.
everything from the snake to the flower, to
Yeah.
the angel, all came out of this one flash of inspiration.
Yeah, so before we are about to end the interview, Robert, can you show the viewers right now, because we all know right here right now that this is a book series. So can you show the other books?
Well,
Because we're on
okay.
book four
Well,
right now.
eh,
What about two, one, two, three? Yeah.
okay.
Can you
Well, this
show
is the
us?
one just before,
All right.
and the title is kintsugi, which is a
Kids.
Japanese art form,
Wow.
basically taking broken pottery and
Hmm.
mending it with gold and silver lacquers. It's
Oh,
my take on, we have a fractured, broken world, and we're called upon to be the gold and silver that makes it worth more than it was when it started. And
that's
here's another
beautiful.
one. This was actually the first book I did.
Uh-huh.
As I
Gifts.
think I mentioned, it's called Gifts because I have no idea where
Mm-hmm.
the inspiration. In fact, some of these were actually homework assignments for Dr. Hall's class. But uh, the idea that we're all just sort of in the world, and the inspiration comes where it comes, and the big trick is to be open to it and to
Yeah.
recognize it when it comes.
Yeah, because it usually comes at the most unexpected of times.
In fact, the title poem for Gifts came when I was on a tour of Israel, and it was
Oh,
originally written on the edges of my tour map.
what about book three? You've
Unfortunately, I
you've
couldn't
showed
find
two
a
books so
copy.
far.
If it's
All right,
called
that's all right.
It's called Re-Gifts. I
Re-gifts.
like
All right.
puns, but it's again all sorts of topics,
Mm-hmm.
ranging from philosophy to physics to math to see if I remember that one. That has a couple about movies. My wife is a big movie fan, but
All right.
basically the theme is how things connect, how things are related, and how things you would never imagine go together do go
Mhm.
together. And we should all be recognizing that in our lives.
So Robert, since you're a writer, I I I just know that there are so many aspiring poets or writers out there. So what advice or tips, or just a few words, what can you tell them right now?
Well, I'll be quoting my
Uh-huh.
professor, Donald Hall, which is
Mm-hmm.
write. Don't think about writing. Don't
Just
talk
right.
about writing. Write.
All
And
right.
the more you write, like, there may be a pile of paper, yeah, but every once in a while there's a gem.
Yeah, there
And
is.
the more you do it, the more likely you're going to be coming up with a gem. I hope my readers think that I've reserved the gems for this book, but there it's like anything else. You exercise, do it.
Yeah, just do it, right?
Yeah, and
So,
and
Rob,
yeah.
yeah,
Sorry,
sorry
Bridget,
about.
Brittany.
So, Robert, where can our viewers right now find Tohu va-Bohu and, of course, the rest of the book series? Where can they
Well,
buy a
well, all of
copy?
the books are available through Barnes and Noble and through
Mm-hmm.
Amazon.
All right.
And I have a personal website, Robert Grappel Books. I'm not very inventive with the names,
Yeah.
but I say Barnes and Noble and Amazon have the all of these, and I encourage you to, they make excellent gifts. Pardon the pun.
Yeah, I noticed too. All right. So you've heard it, everybody. Tohu Vabohu is available on Amazon and in Barnes and Noble and also the rest of Robert's book series. Thank you so much, Robert, for sharing your incredible work with us today.
Thank you
Tohu
for the
Vabohu.
opportunity.
Yes, of course. We're very thankful that you're here with us, sharing your stories. It sounds like a fascinating collection that finds poetry in everything, right? So,
Indeed.
thank you so much again, Robert. This has been Brittany. And as we say here in Reader's Magnet, we share your story with the world. Thank you.